Well, welcome, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, to the fourth round of the FIM Asia Supermoto Championship here at the KF1 go-kart track in Singapore. And what a beautiful day we've got. We've already had qualifying for first practice session. Qualifying will be coming up very shortly. We've got our visiting Danish man, Simon Wilhelmsen, is leading the way at the moment by about half a second from our championship leader, Lewis Cornish, the Englishman. Those two are setting the scene at the moment. Very tight and technical track we've got here at the go-kart track at KRANJI, the suburb of Singapore. It's about 980 metres long with about 18 corners. Very tight and twisty, as I said. Very demanding for these guys. It's a bit of a one-line track. You've got to be very committed at the moment, as Lewis Cornish said to me when he came in after that first practice session. Those guys are leading the way. Our leading local guys at the moment, Kari Zakaria there in third position. Then it is the man in second position in the championship from Thailand, Trakan Chantong. And then visiting Japanese man Matsumoto is in fifth position. But the man that everybody's hoping that comes up a bit is our defending champion, Muhammad Habibullah, or Gabit as he's quite affectionately called. He's down there in eighth position. Dropped down to seventh position in the championship standings after missing the last round in Taiwan, where we had a new winner for the 3 rounds. Lewis Cornish had set the scene with winning every round and every race. But as he got closer to it, it was Trakan that managed to inherit a win for himself after a very uncharacteristic crash from Lewis Cornish in the opening leg of the third round there at Taiwan there a couple of weeks ago. Buried the front end into the berm and subsequently crashes on screen now through your live streaming at the moment. We've got on the Asia Supersports Facebook page, we've had our defending champion Gabit there in bike number 1, and as I said, it's our wild card Simon Wilhelmsen from Denmark, who's come third in the World Supermoto Championship this year. He's set the scene, hasn't seen the track before, came out a couple of days early, was doing a bit of riding around one of the local dirt tracks yesterday. So now we've got a 30-minute qualifying session. Seems that everybody is out and about having a look around this track. They've had their 30-minute practice session, and as you can see on screen, it's pretty well tight and twisty. Not too much for a break. Similar in a way to what the track was like in the car park of Solo Baru down in Indonesia back in October, when it was all about torque and getting out of the corners quickly. The same thing is going to happen here this weekend, where you've got to get out of the corners as quick as possible. It doesn't matter about the top speed or how much real horsepower you got at the top end. It's just been able to maintain that corner speed and get out of the blocks and make sure you hold that line, because as we've found out, it's going to be a very committed rider that does make a move at the moment. As we look for our, we see some time starting to come down. They're still over the 52-second bracket, so they're not quite close to what Bill Helmsman did this morning. But saying that, those times this morning was a free practice, so it doesn't have any bearing on how they'll start the grid later on this afternoon, with our first race starting at 3:30 local time, which is about 7:30 in the morning in England and about 8:30 in the morning throughout Europe, or Eastern Europe, before you get to Western Europe as well. And our second race will be at approximately 6 o'clock local time, which will be 9 o'clock Australian time, and also 10 o'clock English time in the morning, and 11 o'clock for Western Europe and 12 o'clock for Eastern Europe. Because we're going right around the world here with the FIM Asia Supermoto Championship. Great to have the live streaming on board, taking this to the people. And it's been races since we started the live streaming championship up to another level. We're Global Sports as well as the Asia Supersport Group, Bike Nation, and of course a major sponsor, Malaysia Major Events, who's been a part of this championship for quite some time now and continues to do so. Is out on track at the moment trying to get some times there. Trakan is in second position, and just looking to see, it looks like Kari Zakaria there in third position, and just waiting for our big boys to come out. Habibullah Gabit is fastest at the moment, put in a 51 second. But then going down and looking at Lewis has just put in a 49.573 to be fastest at the moment on his first lap. And looking to see where our visiting Danish man on bike number 64 just coming out on track at the moment. So Mohammed Habibullah there getting back into about fourth position. So leading the way at the moment, it is still Cornish. They're in second position by just 2,000ths of, oh no, just coming down there. Tracorn's just dropped into the 49s to be just behind 49.752 for Tan Tong, the initial inaugural champion back in 2015. And he's aiming to take it at the moment. 14 points behind in the championship race between Lewis Cornish and Mohammed Habibullah Gabit. Well, probably out of the running there in Taiwan a couple of weeks ago, only 3 weeks ago it was. And this one today at the K1 kart circuit here at KRANJI in Singapore, all being condensed into a one-day event. In previous times we've had the two days. And getting down into the qualifying as well, with the qualifying on Sunday morning. But now it is all systems go here at this fourth round of the FIM Asia Supermoto Championship. Just seeing now that Trakan there in second position at 49.752, just behind Lewis Cornish, the man that finished third in the AMA Supermoto Championship this year with a 49.753. Which is quicker than his practice time this morning by just over a tenth of a second. I'll tell you what, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, every tenth of a second around this very tight and twisty 980 metre go-kart track is going to be vital. There's not too many places that you can really put a confident pass on. It's all a matter of waiting for someone to make a mistake and pouncing on them rather severely. So we're down now. We've got 6 minutes gone of this 30-minute session. And still we're waiting for Bill Helmson to come out on track, the man that set the fastest pace. He must be quietly confident at the moment. And then we've got bike number 7 sitting there. Pedro Wuna still hasn't come out there. 77 still hasn't come out. Hasroy Osman from Singapore. Just looking to see where bike number 2 is. Eric Chia there down there in 8th position, just coming out. So they're taking their time, not really trying to push too much too soon. The humidity of the Singaporean weather at the moment. Getting into the wet season, we haven't been afflicted by any wet weather so far since we've been here in the fine tropical climes of Southeast Asia in the last couple of days. Hopefully that doesn't happen. They've got a big gap between 3:30 and 4 o'clock where the first race is on. 20 minutes plus 2 laps. And then we've got a 2.5 hour gap before the second leg will be completed. And then the presentation starts about 7 o'clock. 10 o'clock Australian time. 11 o'clock PM. 11 a.m. pardon me, in England, and 12 midday in Eastern Europe, and 1 p.m. in Western Europe. So at the moment it's still Cornish leading the way, and Artlenko is getting down there as well. So I've got 3 riders into the tell you what, is that right? Lee Wei there, Tracorn Tan Tong with a 50.49. Gabit there with a 49.2, so he's actually gone fastest at the moment, eclipsing Lewis Cornish and Tan Tong. Tan Tong there dropping back to 3rd position at the moment. Now just waiting to see where Songai who ranks himself right up there in the world, being number 3 in the World Supermoto Championship. And on screen at the moment we've got Sun Tong from the People's Republic of China on his Qingfeng Supermoto machine. Always has a good dip, he does. Green coming through as we... So at the moment, Zakaria there leading away on bike number... He was there in 3rd position this morning on bike number 32. As you can see on the screen, there in 3rd position. Bike number 97 from Russia, Artem Teslenko. Qualifying performance. Eric Chia in 6th. Who was down there in 13th position. Li Wei, who did a 53 just then, and Li Wei now 56. So he's taken 3 seconds off his time this morning. Li Wei from Taiwan. Great result from him, and then followed him on bike number 102 is Seng Wei Ki from Hong Kong. But it's the man at the front. We've got to wait for our man on bike number 7 from Denmark. As I said, finishing. So we've got a pretty handy turn of speed at the moment. So we'll just see what can be done now if anybody can. Daria there leading away at 49.180. No doubt we'll be getting, I reckon Simon's just sitting there waiting. We've got 5 guys that haven't made it out on track at the moment. Like number 8, Supermoto from Japan. Now another guy that's making an appearance for the first time in a while. Then Azroy has not come out. Then like number 101 as well. Takashi, unusual not to see him out there. And then on bike number 720, Lin Chin-pei from Taiwan still hasn't made it out. So 5 of them haven't completed in the way. And the local Singaporean Metropolitan Railway Transport System, which will have another train coming through in the next couple of minutes. As we get down now into the last, or about halfway through this session. Getting the riders getting down to about 10 or 11 laps at the moment, and just waiting to see where our visiting Simon's still not coming up. Simon Wilhelmsen, France as well. Third position on the grid at the moment. 3 of them into the 49s with a spread. Nudging Zakaria there by about a couple of hundredths of a second. 600ths of a second, as a matter of fact. On bike number 8, the Kenny Motorsports Techno Racing races contested, aiming to put a stranglehold on this championship. There's one down as they come onto the straight. Luminous there, looks like a KTM that was down the road. Machine from the distance. But very fortunate there, he came down in front of a gaggle of riders. Luckily that now we see the Danish flag on the championship leader by 14 points from in second, Tan Tong. So just looking at with at the moment 145, 2 points in front of Tan Tong, with Zakaria there in 3rd position, a further 11 points behind 120, and then Takayama in 4th position on 94, and at the moment Tech 300 still hasn't come out on track at the moment. Supermoto on bike number 84 is in 5th position. What they're going to do, Supermoto, bitumen he is, but this place pretty daunting, not many room for mistakes. It's very heavily enclosed with protective barriers for the go-kart tracks, but that just shows that the Supermoto 10 minutes of this session. We've got about there at the magnificent facility of the KF1 go-kart track on screen. Cornish from Zakaria, Tan Tong in 3rd, Wilhelmsen in 4th, Matsumoto 5th, and Teslenko, the Russian, showing he likes a tight, twisty stuff too. He didn't do too bad in Indonesia a couple of months ago, about 2 months ago as a matter of fact, when we went to Solo Baru, right in the, looks like Lewis Cornish is there in the pits having a bit of a breather, saving the fitness a bit to see if he needs to go out as he's talking to his crew, which I reckon would be his father Dave, come out for the week and give his son the overall in the FIM, as well as Zakaria trying to take out the Asian league of the FIM Asia Supermoto Championship. So leading the way still with a 49.129, just a few hundredths of a second is Lewis Cornish in front of Zakaria there in second position, but the man that's on the charge will be making the move 49.93.94 Bill Helmson to move into third position. You can hear the bikes in the background fighting for traction. They really test out the adhesive powers of their tyres, as we've said a couple of times. Habibullah, or is it? So it's Louis still there from Zakaria. Then it's Tan Tong, Bill Helmson in fourth position. Then Matsumoto in fifth. Then, I tell you what, very surprising, Teslenko. He was sixth fastest this morning. And you can see how hard that Habibullah is trying to negotiate and manhandle his KTM around this very tight track. He raced a motocross event last week, won 4 races, he tells me. He missed the third round of the FIM Asia Supermoto Championship because of an injury sustained in a supercross event in Thailand. So the boy's very busy, but he's back fit and ready, and unfortunately will not be able to successfully defend his championship from 2016. But I'll tell you what, he'll be going out in fine style as he will hand the number 1 plate over to, well, any one of 3 riders. It could be Lewis Cornish, it could be Kari Zakaria, or it could be Trakan Tan Tong from Thailand. Will he win it for the second time after taking out the inaugural FIM Asia Supermoto Championship back in 2015? So we're looking at a fast lap from Habibullah there as he comes through now at 50.617. Just, that was his best time. He didn't quite eclipse that in that previous lap. But I'll tell you what, I think Lewis Cornish will be quite happy there. It'll all depend on what, well, Matsumoto has gone back up in the fourth position, putting Bill Helmson back into fifth. So that's very interesting stuff at the moment. So Cornish leads from Zakaria. Then the Tan Tong, the top 3 in the championship, fill the top 3 grid positions at the moment. But second and third are reversed. And not that you can notice on TV, but that, looking down at the final turn, which is called the Singapore Turf Club corner, it's an uphill pull up the hill to get there, and then they get to the very top of the track at turns 2 and 3 before they start coming back down through the midfield section. As again, we've got Gabit there in screen at the moment, going through the infield section. He'll be going up to get back into the final section of this track, as he's about halfway through that lap, and you can hear his tyres fighting for grip at the moment. Cornish in the pits, he's leaving up the other boys to give chase at the moment. He's coming up against a bit of lap traffic too, so I'm not sure whether he's going to be able to get to a good lap as he comes and brings it back onto the straight to complete another lap. Not quite, a 50.448, some 0.03 of a second slower. That just shows you how critical it is to get a good lap around this 980 metre circuit. As we get down now into the final couple of minutes of it at the moment. So we'd have about 6 minutes left of this session. Bike number 84 out there on track. That is Yasushi Matsumoto, who at the moment sits in fourth position. So the top 5 separated by less than 0.8 of a second. well, just over 0.8 of a second as a matter of fact. So that is a great little, well, appetizer for what will happen here later on this afternoon with our first race of 20 minutes plus 2 laps due to start at 3:30 Singapore and Malaysian time, which makes it about 6:30 Australian time, and also 7:30 in the morning for England, 8:30 in the morning for Western Europe, and 9:30 in the morning for Eastern Europe. As we live stream on the FIM Asia Supermoto Facebook page, and also, so we're going to see if anyone can pole position to make it 3 from 4 pole as bike number 27 comes through. That's Sun Tong, the Chinaman, putting it on the back wheel, showing that he is working very hard. Comes up a bit there again, so he's still there, a 50.195, his fastest time in 6th position, and he's a couple of tenths slower than 5th position, which is our visiting Danish man Wilhelmsen in 5th position. Then in 4th, going up the leaderboard, we've got Matsumoto, the Japanese rider, with a 49.828. Then it is Chakun Tantong in 3rd. 2nd is Zakaria, and then Lewis Cornish by the big margin of 0.69 of a second. 0.0 single of a second, pardon me. Less than 700ths separating the top 2, and less than 6/10 separating the top 4. And Habib Bullock dropping down now, trying to 0.1 bit off his time at the moment. On screen at the moment, we've got Hazroy Osman, the Indonesian guys. They got held up a little bit. Afternoon. Now the local lad, Eric Chia, was pretty good this morning. Now he's back down there in 8th position as well. So we're looking at the top 6 riders being separated by just on a second. So that looks like it could be some very, very interesting and tight racing during the 2 20-minute sessions later on this afternoon. And with a few minutes left to go, it looks like Lewis Cornish, we're getting into the last 5 minutes of this 30-minute qualifying session here for the 4th round of the FIM Asia Supermoto Championship at the KF1 go-kart track in KRANJI, a suburb in northern Singapore. And I'll keep saying it all weekend, this is one magnificent facility. It wouldn't be lost anywhere at a full-blown road racing event. But great to see that everybody's coming through, and the FIM Asia Supermoto Championship coming from strength to strength at the moment. We've got the big super screen here, so the spectators can keep a close eye on proceedings on the action right around this 980-metre track. So Cornish still leading the way, but leading the way for the FIM Asia Supermoto Championship is Zakaria there in 2nd position. So he might be the one taking the major silverware home this time. But as we know, there's 2 races to go, and anything is possible, as we saw in the previous round in Taiwan when Lewis Cornish got away to a good start early in the race in that opening leg of round number 3. But threw it away when he buried the front end into the very purpose-built dirt section there in Taiwan. And, well, let Chakun Tantong into the lead, and no one was going to let him back into it. But there's 14 points at the moment between those 2, Tantong and Lewis Cornish, with Zakaria there in 3rd position, a further 11 points behind, waiting for anyone to pounce. Now, we've got 6 of them now in the top the 49-second bracket. So that means 6 of them are separated by 0.81 of a second. Then in 7th position, we've got our Russian rider, Teslenko, just in front of Eric Chia, the Singaporean, and just in front of his fellow country, Hazroy Osman, and then it's Pedro Wuna the Indonesian rider back in 10th position. Unlike him, maybe not settling into this track the way he would have anticipated. So, but no one's got close to Cornish. He hasn't had to come out and overstep the mark. He's keeping all his energy as much as he can anyway for the 2 races. But before we get to the 2 races, we've got the 20-minute Super Chrono Super Qualifier at approximately 1 o'clock local time for 20 minutes, where the top 6, the top 2 rows of the grid will battle it out for that very, very important pole position. Because no doubt it'll be very important to get that pole position tomorrow, because it's a very, well, the first turn is a nice little kink to the right, but then it tightens itself up as they go through the left-hander that takes them away from the start-finish straight here at this KF1 go-kart track. Going through the leaderboard, it is Lewis, Zakaria there, Gabit Abibullah in 3rd position, our defending champion. Then it's Matsumoto in 5th, then Wilhelmsen in 6th position with Teslenko there in 7th. Great stuff from him. And those 3 in 7th, 8th and 9th only separated by a few tenths of a second, as well as a checkered flag is about to be shown here for the qualifying session of the 4th round of the FIM Asia Supermoto Championship. So all the bikes will be coming back into the track now. The lunch break here in Singapore, and we'll be back with the Super Chrono at 1 o'clock. But just recapping the results from the qualifying session this morning. Our championship leader, who is in a pretty commanding position on 145 points. He is the fastest at the moment with Trakorn Tan Tong in 2nd position on 131. He sits in 3rd position at the moment on the grid. He's been dropped down to 4th because in that final couple of moments, Matsumoto come through. And as I'm looking through at the moment, it's Cornish from Zakaria. Then Habibullah moves into 3rd position, relegating Tran Tong back to 4th. And then it's Matsumoto in 5th position with Wilhelmsen in 6th. So those 6 separated, like I said, by 0.8 of a second. Then Teslenko is the first of the 1 minute or the 50-second bracket in 7th position. Eric Chia in 8th position. Hazram Osmoy in 9th position. Then it's Pedro Wuna in back there in 10th. He's improved his times. All the riders bringing their times down quite drastically. He won't be happy. He was about 0.8 of a second slower than what he managed this morning. So he will not be a happy Danish man at the moment. He was probably had a quite look of confidence there at the moment as the yellow flags come out to denote that all riders must leave the track. But as we said, we'll be back at 1 o'clock with... We'll be back at 1 o'clock for the Supermoto Super Chrono over 20 minutes to see who actually does get the official nod to start from pole position for this afternoon's racing that starts at 3:30 local 2-lap heats. And then the second leg, which is due to start at 6 p.m. local time. Again, a 20-minute session plus 2 laps to go one step the track surface and see if anything has been changed. But we'll have a look now. And again, it's Cornish leading the way from Zakaria. Then Gabin, the 2015 champion, right behind him, Trakorn Tan Tong. And then Matsumoto. Then Wilhelmsen dropping from 1st in the practice sessions down to 6th position, 7th position. So, as you can see, the bright sunshine here in Singapore at a suburb in the northern part of the island of Singapore at KRANJI. As trees cast a bit of shadow over it It'd probably have to rate as the best go-kart facility I've ever seen. It wouldn't be lost at any, racetrack for the big cars and the big bikes anywhere around the world, I tell you. As we get the official score and the timekeepers bring this, and there is 6 of them, all separated by 0.8 of a second here as we get ready for the Supermoto Super Chrono. So is Lewis Cornish leading the way with a time of 49.129. Will anybody be able to crack a 48-second lap around this 980 metre circuit here in the northern part of Singapore? Kari Zakaria there in second position, and our defending champion Muhammad Habibullah there in third position, with Trakan Tantong in fourth. Matsumoto in fifth position, the visiting Japanese man who's really thrown a cat among the pigeons, and our wild card from Denmark, Simon Wilhelmsen, there in sixth position. Like I said, all of them separated by 0.8 of a second, which is going somewhere to give us a good indication that we're going to have some really close racing here at this afternoon. So until we come back at about 1 o'clock with the Supermoto Super Chrono, I'm Mark from Singapore very shortly.